Hi, I'm Meredith Giles. We've been doing lessons on how to become a Christian. This is lesson 3. We're going to talk about faith toward God, having faith toward God. Faith toward God is the essence of the entire Christian life. Initially, it has to do with our access to God and our standing before God. It is by faith that we are justified and brought into right standing with the Lord. What does that word justified means? To be justified means that we are declared righteous or pronounced or treated as innocent. When a man is justified by God, he is not acquitted on the grounds of his innocence, but by God's mercy and love through his Son, Jesus Christ. Faith is a gift of God. God gives us faith. He moves in our lives. And it's not something that we can earn by our own ability. Ephesians 2:8 says, "For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is a gift of God." Faith in God gives us the ability to believe His word and appropriate it to our lives. So the first thing we want to talk about in our lesson today about faith towards God is number 1, what does the word faith mean? It means belief, faithfulness, reliability, trust, confidence, firm persuasion, assurance, or firm conviction. Hebrews 11:1 in the Amplified Bible says, "Now faith is the assurance, the confirmation, the title deed of the things we hope for, being the proof of things we do not see, and the conviction of their reality. Faith perceiving as real fact what is not revealed to the senses." Faith perceiving as real fact what is not revealed to the senses. So that is what the word faith means. Secondly, what causes faith to arise in our hearts? The Word of God is what arises within us. Romans 10:17 says, "So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God." There are several ways that we can receive the Word of God. One of the first ways is the preaching of the gospel. Titus 1:3 says, "But has in due time manifested his word through preaching, which was committed to me according to the commandment of God." Romans 10:8 says, "But what does it say? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith which we preach." 1 Thessalonians 2:13 says, "For this reason we also thank God without ceasing, because when you received the word of God which you heard from us, you welcomed it, not as the word of men, but as it is in truth the word of God, which also effectively works in you who believe." Then we can also receive through the written word, God's written word, the Bible. Luke 24:44 says, "Then he said to them, These are the words which I spoke to you while I was still with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms concerning me." That's Jesus speaking. Then Psalm 119 verse 105 says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." 2 Corinthians 12:8 and 9 tells us that we can receive the word of God and receive faith in times of prayer when we talk to the Lord. Concerning these things, it says, 2 Corinthians 12:8 and 9, "I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might depart from me." Verse 9, "And he said to me, My grace is sufficient to you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I would rather boast in my infirmities than the power of Christ, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Isaiah 65:24 says, "It shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are still speaking, I will hear." Jeremiah 33:3 says, "Call to me, and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know." So we can receive the word of God through the preaching of the gospel, through the written word in times of prayer. Another one is a word of exhortation by another Christian. Colossians 3:16 says, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord." So, a word of exhortation by another Christian. Another way that we can receive the word of God is in dreams or visions. The Bible has so many stories of someone receiving a dream or a vision and God speaking to them. Acts 2:17 says, "And it shall come to pass in the last days, says God, that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your young men shall see visions, your old men shall dream dreams." And one last one that I wanted to mention in receiving the word of God is in the audible voice of God. Acts 9:4-6 says, "Then he, Saul, fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, 'Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?'" And it was actually the Lord speaking to him. And he said, "Who are you, Lord?" Then the Lord said, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. It is hard for you to kick against the goads." So he trembled and trembling and astonished, said, "Lord, what do you want me to do?" And then the Lord said to him, "Arise and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do." So we know what the word faith means. We know what causes faith to arise in our hearts. It's the word of God and how to receive that word of God. Thirdly, faith must have action or expression. We just don't hear about it and just sit and do nothing. Noah was an example of that. By faith, he heard the voice of God, he received the word of God, and he moved with fear and built the ark. Hebrews 11:7 says, "By faith, Noah, being divinely warned of things not yet seen, moved with godly fear, prepared an ark for the saving of his household, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is according to faith." Moses, by faith, was hid by his parents. Hebrews 11:23. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hidden 3 months by his parents because they saw he was a beautiful child and they were not afraid of the king's command.